Welcome to Jonbenét Ramsey Sketchy Details Part 17. If you have not watched Parts 1 through 16, it's highly advised that you do because these are in chronological order. This video, along with every video in the Jonbenét Ramsey Sketchy Details series, are intended for educational purposes only and are not intended for children. And 75, we're just continuing with number 75. And for a little recap, we have the first email recipient, who pens under the name Cheesy or Cheesy, whose real name is Patty, and who's also the woman from Wisconsin referenced in Death of Innocence. Then we have the quote-unquote Patricia Ramsey sender, the sender of these emails, who also goes under the pen name Friend in the letters and is the person that posted the pics on the Grave website. Then we have the site moderator, who is Jameson, Jams, Sue Bennett, Miss Bennett, bunch of names that you're going to see. I just wanted you to see those so when you see them you know who they're talking about. And we have already went through the first 5 messages between the sender and Cheesy over a 2-day period, starting on the 19th of April and spreading into the 20th. And now I'm just going to quote some of the messages between the two of them on the 21st of April. I'm not going to read the entire exchange because it is pretty lengthy, but towards the middle of the exchange, Cheesy says, "You have gone to great lengths to ensure your identity is not revealed. That tells me more than you think it does." The Ramsey sender says, "Tell me what it tells you," but not in question form for some reason. To which Cheesy just sort of says that she would like to keep exchanging views about the case with this sender if they're willing, and that she's pretty much saying, okay, even if you don't reveal your identity, I want to keep talking to you. So basically saying that the whole secret identity thing is not going to be a problem for her. Then Cheesy goes on to say, "If you are Patsy, let me say this to you. I do not believe that you hurt your child. I believe you have a good idea of who did, though, but for some reason you cannot come forth with that information." Cheesy further says, "I do not believe you are the killer, Patsy or otherwise." Then the Ramsey sender says, "Therefore, my mission to remain anonymous has proven successful. Sometimes I dream of a day when I can speak, the people will listen, and all will understand and believe me." So with the first message I read you, we have Cheesy sort of telling the sender that they think that they are Patsy. That tells me more than you think it does, meaning you wanting your secrecy tells me that you're Patsy. And then in this message, we sort of have the sender confirming that they are Patsy. Or at least that is the impression given off when they say, well then my mission to remain anonymous has proven successful. And then the Ramsey sender sort of backpedals and says, "I claim to be no one. If someone gets close to my identity, I find myself evading the slightest possibility that they are close to an answer. Let me explain that I do not do this to make the recipient suffer confusion. I do this because I do not trust. All the hate campaigns against this family are intimidating to a degree." Now, I'm not going to read the rest. I just want to point out to you how this person, the Ramsey sender, is saying this family. Normally, if it was not your family, you would say that family. Also, I want to bring it to your attention how the Ramsey sender is already stating, like, if anybody gets close to revealing my identity, I will purposefully confuse them to keep my identity obscured. Cheesy and the Ramsey sender continue communicating on April 24th and the 28th, though it's not much, detailed, just a lot of back and forth. However, on the 29th, Cheesy starts to really come at the Ramsey sender and let them know that, like, hey, I think you're Jameson playing a joke on me. Cheesy writes, "I have to tell you right now, I am uncertain what to think. I suspect that you may be Jams. You know that. She would pull something like this." The Ramsey sender then replied, "This statement hurts me. I told you that I am not that person. The most hurtful thing you have said suggests that I am pulling something." Cheesy responds, "If you are not Jams, and you are a friend of the Ramseys, I suggest you get someone to stop Jams from the damage she is doing. And this warranted a lengthy reply from the Ramsey sender, which I will show you here. This is the entire, where it says I need to clarify, there all the way down is the Ramsey reply, which is huge, but I want to focus on what is said in the middle here. Towards the middle, the Patsy or Ramsey sender replies, I am concerned about the lies. I am mostly concerned for Melinda, John Andrew, and Burke. They are just starting out. I've already had a wonderful life up until the murder of Jonbenét. Cheesy would actually not reply back to the Ramsey sender for the rest of the night on the 29th of April, despite the Ramsey sender sending 2 more messages after the one that I have just read you. Instead, Cheesy ended up waiting until nearly 4 p.m. on April 30th to respond, where she simply states, do you get the feeling that, follow this closely, that I know who you are, and that we both know why you can't say I am? And under the red line, the Ramsey sender replies, wow, I feel kind of ridiculous about the identity issue. I find it strange that I have been suspected of being Jonbenét's mom, her killer, a friend of the family, everyone but her father, John. Now, little did the Ramsey sender know that the reason why Cheesy was coming at them so strongly about being Jameson was because of their frustrations over what happened the day before. On the 28th of April, Cheesy finally got a reply from Jim Tipton, the man who is the owner of the Find a Grave website. She was hoping to get a little bit more clarity on who possibly she was speaking with, the Ramsey sender, and also who posted those pictures on his website. And though Jim expressed that his interaction with the Ramsey sender was a bit odd, he had no real new identifying information for her to help her verify if she was talking to Jameson or Patricia Ramsey herself. On May 1st of 1999, the Ramsey sender sends yet again another pretty lengthy email to Cheesy, and Cheesy does not reply to this message again, as well as the one that the Ramsey sender sent on April 30th. And there'd be 0 correspondence between the two on May 2nd of 1999. On May 3rd of 1999, after a nearly 4-day hiatus, Cheesy finally emails the Ramsey sender, and this is her email. Friend, I just want you to know what gave you away, that you are a fraud, is that you claimed to have no knowledge of Jameson. Either Jameson is lying or you are. Or because you know I dislike Jameson and think she is full of crap, you denied knowing about her. In any case, you were not a truthful person. I doubt if you even know the Ramseys. Most likely, you are Jams pulling yet another attempt at trying to be someone important to this case. You know, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you cannot fool all of the people all of the time. I know when that grave picture was taken, around July of last year, and golly gee, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to find out that Jameson was there in July. 2 + 2 = you, Jameson. And then she signs off with, nice try, get a life, Patty. The Ramsey sender then rebuttals, saying that they are not Jameson, that they didn't know that Sue Bennett was Jameson, and then they go on to say that the Boulder District Attorney, the Boulder Police, the Ramseys themselves, and Patsy's parents have the Ramsey.net email address. This gets absolutely no reply from Cheesy, prompting a 2-page lengthy reply from the Ramsey sender, rambling off all these different streets in Atlanta in an attempt to prove that they actually live in Atlanta. And I believe one more email is sent from the Ramsey sender to Cheesy on May 3rd that is not responded to. Then finally, on May 4th, the Ramsey sender, after finding out and seeing that their emails to Cheesy have been opened and have been read, the Ramsey sender decides to email and say, "I suppose you got my mail about Atlanta." Cheesy finally responds, but still ignores that question, instead bringing up that they have tried to contact Don Pa through a Yahoo search, and they got an email address and an address, and that the Don Pa said that they were not Patsy's father. A little further into this conversation, the Ramsey sender starts to explain their theory on what happened, and they say some interesting things. So what they say is, "I think he was a business acquaintance of John's. I love Pamela, but I do not believe in the retaliatory theory. I think the person who killed Jonbenét was a sick and twisted individual who was sexually obsessed with her. I think he stalked her for a short time. I think he did approach her and talked to her prior to her death. I have learned a little bit more about the bizarre practices of certain people through the correspondences of this address. Some have described in detail how they killed Jonbenét." Now, two things I want to point out is the person says, "I love Pamela." Pam is Patsy's sister. And they also say how they killed Jonbenét. I don't know if that just necessarily means that these people that were telling her about these practices described how it could have been done, or if she's literally trying to say, like, that the people who did this have contacted me. I just thought it was kind of weird, but the whole "I love Pamela" thing, to me, points to that this is Patsy sending these emails. Along with a lot of the things that I have highlighted in this video, like it says this family, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of other things that make me think that it is Patsy who's writing these emails. But the part where it says that she learned, or they learned, about bizarre practices from certain people, I think that it's referring to what I talk about or don't talk about in video 14, the one that is highly explicit. I'm almost positive that that's what the Ramsey sender is referring to, is that explicit bondage S&M bullshit that I showed you in video 14. Now this is the way they end this correspondence, and I thought it was kind of weird. So Cheesy says, "I already asked this, but to me it is important. Does John think this person that you have the theory about killed Jonbenét? It has always appeared to me that John knew who killed her, but couldn't say who. I told you guys in one of the very first videos that that was the impression that I got from John as well, and that I also got the impression from Fleet White that Fleet White was also aware that John knew who did this. So that's kind of interesting." The Ramsey sender replies, "If John had the least suspicion of who killed his daughter, he would walk, not run, to the authorities and report everything he knows." Now, I don't know if this was a little mix-up, a little flub, but the proper term is they would run, not walk. So is she purposefully saying that, like, John would take his sweet time getting to the police if he knew, because he does, or was it just a mix-up? Because that's one hell of a mix-up. It could, if it's purposefully done, could have a very deep meaning. So I thought that was really strange. But as I said in the beginning of me explaining the Patricia Papers, there are 750 of them. I do not have access to all of them, but I have access to a lot of them. And there's too many messages in between to go through. So basically what I'm getting at with this part of the Patricia Papers is that I do think that this is Patsy Ramsey sending these emails. But I kind of have a feeling that it's another person who I'll reveal in the second part of the Patricia Papers, because in the second part of the Patricia Papers, we're going to talk about this secret mystery man that the Ramsey sender ends up bringing up in their emails. We haven't quite got there yet. We haven't even got to the part where the Ramsey sender starts signing off as Patricia. So we'll get into that into the next part, because they're so lengthy and I'm really tired of going through all of these, so I'm going to stop this video here, and thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned for part 18. And as always, God bless.